Hello right bags, it's Jade Plays Games back once again with another Ark Survival Evolved video. Today we're going to be going through the 10 top things the community want to add to Ark Survival Evolved, with a brand new TLC update about to drop and future plans to keep increasing content for Ark Survival Evolved, whether it be bug fixes, additions, new items. What else would you guys like to see? Some of these are going to be pretty big, some of them might be a little bit minor, and they usually apply to consoles more specifically rather than just PC. But we all want more fresh content. So let's go. Top 10 things the community wants, judging by all the community boards that I read on a daily, the comments in YouTube and on social media. Number 10. There was a huge fly nerf last year in Ark Survival Evolved. It upset a majority of the community. They didn't want the fly nerf to happen. They reduced the stamina for most of the creatures, and all in all it was just a bit of a crap time for most people playing Ark Survival Evolved. Some people did want it, and overall I agree. I think the fly nerf was needed because too many people were reliant on these flying creatures. However, devs have said they're going to bring back an option for private servers and rentable servers where you can actually put the fly nerf back. So you can adjust the flyer's speed, you can pump up stuff into your creature's speed, and I think it's a fantastic idea to make customization a real priority. And that's what number 10 is, more customization on servers. There's loads of ini files which are what PC uses to modify the game, and they've done a fantastic job of giving us some settings and sliders to work with on console, and they then put them back on PC. But we want even more options, make it even easier, put all the ini files in sliders, in settings, make every single setting available in some sort of small option where we only have to change a number or we have to slide a slider up and down. It would really go a long way to getting people to happy with their customized arcs. Number 9. How about some PvE content? Now, some of these ideas may be slightly underneath the mod side of things, but I still think Ark Survival Evolved could come at us with some information about things like boss wars. What happened to that? That's been taken off the patch notes. We haven't heard anything about it. If you don't know what boss wars is meant to be, it was meant to be that these creatures would be dropped onto the map, miniature versions of the end game bosses, and players would be able to take them on. If you took them on, you would then be able to utilize them almost like a titan. It would be a special sort of PvP creature that you could keep. But that idea needs to be more fleshed out and put onto PvE as well. PvE does lack some sort of content other than alpha creatures and obviously the end bosses. There needs to be more to go for and more to do and utilize your dinosaurs, because currently most people just use it as Pokemon to collect every single type of dinosaur or colour dinosaur. No one's utilising them in a massive way other than getting 20 Rexes to do a boss fight. So we need more things for PvE. Another option could be bush people. It got removed from the sponsored mod program. It was an NPC program. The developers have said they're not very keen on NPCs. They don't think it needs it. They think the game is sufficient without it. But I still think there needs to be something added. It doesn't necessarily have to be huge and involved like bush people. Maybe it can just be some really caveman style like creature that runs around the map, but maybe there can be things that evolve from that. Maybe you can learn engrams from them if you capture them or tame them or break them in. Maybe they can become your NPC allies if you do that. There's loads of options for stuff like that, bringing NPCs into the game. And yes, look at boss wars, give us some information about boss wars. Is it dead? Are you going to try and implement it? Is it going to be something that you bring in much later in the summer? Here, give us a heads up. It was on the patch notes for so long, yet we've heard nothing about boss wars in such a long time. Number 8. The early start of 2017, Ark brought in the tether option. They increased it so that you could run around and do what you wanted. They didn't mean to do this. This was an accident on console. Xbox and the PS4 had the option that for your non-dedicated server, you and 8 of your friends could finally go wherever you wanted without that horrible yellow bubble. The option to do that has always been there on Ark Survival Evolved on the PC, however it's never been there for console, and it's definitely one of the most requested things. Most people don't want to have to rent out a server, and a lot of people only have a few select friends to actually play Ark Survival Evolved with. So what better way to do it than just host your own server on your non-dedicated world where you and your friends could go and do whatever you want. Particularly for split screen as well. If you've got family members and you play split screen together, it's really annoying have to follow your teammate, your tribe mate around just because of that big yellow dome, or what we call it, the tether. Now, just before launch, they actually took out the tether option. They removed it completely. So the tether went back to its 220 meters or whatever it was. So people were pissed. We want the tether back is usually what you find in a lot of comment sections on my videos. They really want the tether increased or taken away. Ark's reasoning was that it was affecting performance, that if you went too far away from your tribe mate, you would find that trees and rocks you couldn't harvest, and basically you were just walking around an empty world because you couldn't interact with anything. Now, it has to be said that when I tested that out on the PS4, it was true. If you went away from the host too far, what would happen was you could literally walk through some rocks, and whenever you tried gathering anything, nothing would work. But other people were saying it was perfectly fine. Did they just actually take it away because it was going to be a selling point for the brand new Xbox X that would be coming out? Wildcard announced that the Xbox X version of Ark Survival Evolved would have no tether at all, so you could play with it, but it turns out that was a lie as well. The ability to have no tether only applies to split screen. If you host your non-dedicated world where friends are going to join you up to 8 players, the tether is still there. There's other reports as well, which I've not yet tested even though I've got my Xbox X, is that the tether hasn't been improved that much. It isn't as large as you would think. It's still close to the 220 meters that it currently is on the Xbox One and the PS4. And of course the PS4 Pro never got any type of increase whatsoever. It's still the bog standard length. So the community wants the tether back. Ark, fix it up, streamline it, optimize it. You've put it there before. You said there was some subtle but serious issues. Let's see if you can get this going. Let's hope it's not just a marketing ploy to sell the Xbox X. Show some nous, show some technical know-how, and see if you can increase the tether. It would make people who want to play with just their friends or their family members really, really hype and happy. Number 7. Where's the content for Primitive Plus? Where's some of the content for Ragnarok? Now things change and the mods, sometimes the creators can't always implement what they dream of or what they set out to do. But did you know that Ragnarok was meant to have its own special types of boss? Not just the dragon and the manticore at the same time, but they had thought about putting its own ascension in. If you go back over what the Ragnarok devs said they were going to implement, there's a lot actually currently missing, including explorer notes. That was another thing. They said they was going to implement their own explorer notes. That just didn't happen. Now it's meant to be 99% complete, and people are left scratching their heads about exactly what is going to come with this 1%, because so much stuff that they maybe talked about hasn't materialised. And that goes for Primitive Plus as well. If you don't know, Primitive Plus isn't being supported. I've said it multiple times in the last few weeks because I really want to get it out there. I think Primitive Plus should be absolutely worked on again. They should get him some time, or give it to someone else to work on. Give us some content that was there from the outline. Primitive Plus was a fantastic idea. Not everyone loves the multi-advanced tech and the advanced warfare stuff, so give us something else to play with. Give Primitive Plus the love and attention it was always meant to have. And while you're at it, put explorer notes on the centre map. Give Evil Mr. Frank a chance to go back to the map and add a few bits more. It wouldn't mean much, maybe a few months of development at most, but give some of the mods you've put out there some extra attention and love, or let the mod creators have a bit of extra time, because these mods are great. The centre map's fantastic, Ragnarok's fantastic. But I think we could all agree it could probably all do with a little bit extra content. I know they're not canon, and that's what the developers have said, that these maps are not canon, so they're not considered part of their Ark Survival Evolved story. However, I don't think it would take that much to go ahead and just add a little bit more TLC to some of the sponsored mods that are currently on Xbox One and the PS4. Number 6. Now this might not be one that bothers most of you, but definitely for a significant hardcore group of Ark Survival role players, getting ETAs right is absolutely crucial. Time and time again the Wildcard development team, particularly their lead creator, has gave us false ETAs, or ETAs that have just absolutely no hope of getting it. It's a running joke that Ark will always be late, even later than me turning up for an actual gameplay session. Now it probably shouldn't be expected or unexpected, as they delayed the game 3 times for actual visual release, as well as DLC twice. But Ark Survival Evolved, you need to get better with your ETAs. Give us something to work to. It doesn't have to be soon. Give us a far date and just work towards that date. Give yourself breathing space. But what frequently happens is they announce these big announcements that this update's coming, and then it never appears. They've also been really guilty of letting us know when it goes in certification, and there's absolutely no hope of it passing that certification. Time and time again, particularly on Xbox, it fails, and we have to wait another 3 to 5 days, sometimes even a whole week before we get the update. After 3 years of active development, 2 years on the Xbox and a year on the PlayStation, you would think they'd have these sort of dates and these updates nailed on exactly when they're going to be ready. But it's still happening now. Even only on the last update, the creator was bragging about it coming out and then it turns out it didn't. Please just get your information right. It would keep the community on board with you so much more if you didn't give false ETAs. And yes, ETA does mean expected time of arrival, so that window, that broad saying, could mean any kind of time or any kind of day. However, when you go on Twitter, when you go on social media and say it's going to be coming this Friday, or it's just come out with its certification, you give an impression that it's about to drop. So don't do it. Just put some sort of rough week and say it's coming out the week of the 22nd, or it's going to be coming out at some point in March. Don't put pressure on yourself by announcing any sort of dates. Listen to what your community says. Time and time again on social media you see so many people complaining about them giving false ETAs. Listen up, Wildcard. Don't give us rubbish dates. Take the pressure off. Get the update ready and release it when it's ready to go, and then give us the information. Number 5. Wildcard have plans to implement some endgame stuff for Scorched Earth. They're going to give it its own ascension, they're going to give it its own end credits or end trailer, just like it has on Aberration. But there's one thing they really need to get right. The third final DLC, Extinction, needs to be spot on. Aberration was okay, it opened up the world with brand new creatures and a few new taming mechanics, but it's already just died a death. People aren't playing it. On my servers people got fed up with it, and I can see on official servers lots of people go there just to get their rock drakes and then they leave immediately. The map was good, but it needed more biomes, it needed something else to do. Other than that starting area, there was nowhere really else to go and make a wonderful base or start a brand new sort of exploration area to go and check and find out and just live in. You kind of go there to do stuff, get stuff and leave, and maybe that's how they wanted it. That's why they made it more or less that you go around on foot for a lot of the time, just to make it a bit harder. But I feel like Aberration was a bit of a misstep, considering it was delayed months. The way it did end up coming out with loads of bugs and problems, it was not ready. Don't make the same mistake for Extinction. It's meant to be coming out in the spring. That's only a couple months away. You can bet Extinction's gonna be delayed. I'll say it again and I've said it again. It will be delayed. Don't expect Extinction out to some point in the summer. And when I really hope they do delay it so they spend more time on it to get this final piece of DLC perfect and right. Apparently it is going to be the final part of the story. There won't be any more additional story to Arc 1 as we know it. We do know they're thinking of possibly about an Arc Survival Evolved 2 in hushed tones and slight small little interviews. They said they would be mad not to consider it in the future. The original idea of releasing sort of seasonal content or more DLC seems to have gone out the window. They seem to be wrapping up the final part of this DLC as the final part of the story. So it's got to be right, it's got to have unique gameplay mechanics, it's got to have lots of creatures that don't seem like they're just reskins. We don't want creatures that have the same taming methods as Scorched Earth. We want brand new fresh stuff. Really go to town on this, really give us something wow, amazing and special that we've not yet seen, whether it's on mods on PC, whether it's on the DLC we've already seen. Take that extra time, get Extinction right and leave us all with a really fantastic happy memory of Arc, rather than all the delays and issues that have plagued some of the other DLCs. Number 4. Revisit your cancelled projects. I could have easily listed the next few things as separate ones, but really they all come under the same tree. Survival of the Fittest and Primal Survival were the two cancelled projects that Arc had hyped up and put trailers out at game shows and said they were definitely coming and they would be coming to console as well. Turns out none of that was true. The big main game needed more work and that was fine. Ultimately Arc is the main base game. We want that to be running and we want that to be out as quickly as we could and be perfect and running how we wanted it to be. But now the base game is done, or more or less done, and now we're approaching the last piece of paid DLC. What are you going to bring to the table? There is some news on that front. I have told you guys multiple times they wouldn't be bringing Survival of the Fittest out again. It just cost too much money, and at the time they just didn't have enough time to implement a way that they could make money from it. Ultimately, all free-to-play games, which Survival of the Fittest was, need some way to generate income. That's why you need microtransactions like Fortnite or PUBG and their loot crates. To their credit, Wildcard really did it as a test, survival of the fittest, to see how it would go and just have a bit of fun with it. They had no plans to implement any sort of microtransactions into it because they hadn't had much experience. But there is talk of them revisiting it. One of the founding creators of Ark Survival Evolved and the man in charge of Reverb that actually helps publish Ark has spoken in a PC Gamer interview recently saying they would be mad or foolish not to look at it again in the rise of Battle Royale. And believe it or not, Survival of the Fittest helped with that. For a small period of time, SOTF was one of the most popular games on Twitch that you could watch. But like every good brand new bit of free DLC or free game mode or free actual game, it needs content, and that's what Survival of the Fittest lacked. No new maps, no new game modes, no new ways to play it. The matches were also way too long. So I'm pretty sure they are currently working on some sort of secret reboot of it. It's not going to be Survival of the Fittest, it's going to be something very similar. I bet they even rebrand it as something different entirely, but it will be a Battle Royale or survival style tournament game. It was meant to come out on the PlayStation first and then possibly come to the Xbox, but that just never happened, and now it's dying. No one plays Survival of the Fittest anymore. You're lucky if you get more than a few hundred players playing it on a daily basis. Primal Survival also needs looking at again. Not everyone's cup of tea, but when it did come out, people were like, what? You're going to make a dino game? Now there are a few dino games out there. You've got the Isle, which is obviously really popular on PC, but that currently has no plans to come to console. If Wildcard could get Primal Survival on console, it would mean the world. It could be exactly what we need after a bit of a disappointment with Aberration, with it being delayed so long and the content maybe not being up to scratch. But there's absolutely no news on Primal Survival. No one has said anything about it. It would be cool. I wasn't totally sold on it at first, but I'd be willing to give it another try. Number 3. Oh lordy lordy lordy, please Ark, fix the duping that's been going on again on official servers. Now some people are going to say it's rubbish, there is no duping on, and I'm pretty sure I've seen that a lot from some of the community managers and the dev team, but I have it on record from multiple players now that they are seeing duping happen again. It's not as prevalent as it was, and it's not as easy as it used to be, but all that's happening now is that people are managing to roll back servers every 30 minutes. There is still massive issues. They were meant to have fixed the duping problem prior to launch of Ark Survival Evolved, the full game launch in September. There was huge issues with duping across Xbox, PlayStation 4 and PC. Particularly on PC, it's a massive issue still. That's why rentable servers are so popular. But for the people, the grinders, the people that are hardcore players of Ark Survival Evolved that play on official servers, more needs to be done to fix the duping and rolling back of servers. Frequently, lots of servers just go down for no apparent reason. Whether it's the hardware, whether it's an issue on the server, we don't necessarily know. Unless you're following someone on Twitter who's actually in charge of giving you guys the information, you would never know there was a problem with your server. Come up with another way as well, SWAT Ark. Bring out the information on a little bit of the menu screen as you pop into your server. Make the server welcome info. Get some people involved in keeping your players up to date rather than just through one account on Twitter. In reality, it's not just duping, it's the aimbotters as well. It's prevalent on PC, but it's even getting done now on Xbox through the Windows 10 Play system. The Windows 10 Play system is a little bit experimental, but they have had lots of time to get this update done and dusted, and it's still riddled with cheats and issues. So please Wildcard, fix the duping. Make sure it's ironcast that no one's going to be able to do this, and fix the aimbotters and all the other ways that people can start to cheat. It really would help people come back to official servers who are sick and tired of the servers crashing every half an hour. Now, I am sure not every single server is affected by that, and if you're lucky that you don't experience any type of rollbacks or duping on your server, then that's great to hear. But if you go on the forums, if you go on social media and Reddit and type in server duping, you will see how prevalent it is again on these servers. So come on Wildcard, fix up, find a solution for it that's going to actually stick and not just bandage the problem for a few months. Number 2. Bug fixes. Ark Survival Evolved has been out of early access nearly 5 months now, yet continuously there's so many problems and issues with the game. Whether it's on the PS4 or the Xbox One and the menu screen looking like it's been cracked glass, whether or not it's currently on the Xbox X and players and animals' bodies are just stretched and elongated, every brand new update that Ark seem to do tends to break something else. Updates need to be tested more thoroughly, and we need to get more bugs and more issues fixed rapidly. It's a bit of a joke that 5 months on we still have some of these issues that have been raised time and time again over the last 2 years of early access. The last 3 updates for Ark Survival Evolved have frequently caused a bunch more hotfixes straight after. When you bring out a brand new update for a game, you look at every other franchise or every other game that's out there. They may have one tiny hotfix come out after a major version. It must be really hard work getting brand new content into the game, making sure it runs well and everything's good, and then you might find a few tiny little hiccups just afterwards when you've put it out on a network, especially online games. However, Wildcard don't test their stuff enough. There was 4 to 5 hotfixes after Aberration came out. The last update that come out to fix a lot of the Aberration stuff still needed an additional 3 hotfixes. Test your stuff better. Make it a priority to get a proper quality Q&A team in. Apparently, or currently right now, Wildcard do a lot of the Q&A in-house. They don't have a particularly very good outside company that does it, and most games companies, when they've got the size and the money that they've been ploughed into Ark, they tend to have outside companies that do it. So fix up Wildcard, invest in some Q&A. You've got thousands of players that would love to do it. Set up some test branches on PC like most other games still do. They used to do it, I do believe, when they first came out, but I haven't seen anything like a test branch on Ark Survival Evolved for a long time. Only on things where there were mods, where I remember the Centre map had a test branch for a little while to test things out. Set up a test branch on PC, let people come and help you nail them bugs and them issues, and so that we don't have all these hotfixes. Now these hotfixes take up so much time, the memory, the time it takes to upload, it all takes players away from the game, and at this stage now we're not in early access. We shouldn't have to wait 2 weeks for something to be fixed after just getting a brand new update. We shouldn't have multiple hotfixes. It might sound a bit self-entitled or privileged, but that's the way a game should be. You should have a brand new content update, maybe needs one tiny little hotfix, not multiple. If you're gonna do something, do it properly, Wildcard. Get these updates done and nailed and properly tested. Number 1. More content. We want more sponsored mods on console. We want more things being made official mods. Give us the ability to have more mods on console. It would cost an extremely massive amount of money to make it a system like Skyrim or Fallout where you can just download whatever mods. I'm not expecting that from Wildcard. That costs millions and millions of pounds to implement. That's why you're never going to see a huge amount of mods on console. It just costs far too much. Currently, the way that the mods work are they get made on PC and then they're ported over to Xbox and PS4. That's why we don't see any. We were meant to get another 2 mods before Christmas. That's what Jeremy said when Ark Survival Evolved released. They were working on 2 brand new or current mods that would be available as an official mod. That never happened. All we've heard tale of is that S Plus is being integrated into the main game, and since then we've got no release date. It's not happening in the first TLC patch. So come on, Wildcard, sort it out. Give us something else instead. Work on one of the sponsored mods more. Hire it out to an outside team like you've done in the past, but give us some sort of brand new mod to play with. Console particularly needs it more than anyone else. With a lack of content, with mods being a bit old now, and some of the mods not supported like Primitive Plus anymore with brand new content, we need fresh content, and it can't just be DLC that you have to pay or buy for. You're fantastic with your mod program. You're promoting so many people to make their fantastic mods and maybe help the community out with fresh content, but we need some of that on console. It can't cost that much to get it ported over. If you're willing to pay $4,000 to all these modders to do their mods, make sure there's an actual chance of it coming to console. We need more mods. Get it sorted. Help us grow. Help us have more fresh content to play so that we're all still playing Ark in time for when something brand new comes out where we will spend our money, like the 3rd piece of DLC. A free, fresh mod, not just a map, but an actual game mode, something really unique and fresh would be amazing. So please, Wildcard, look at it again, see if it on the table that we could get Primal Survival. I've heard nothing about this, unlike SOTF where I've heard rumours and I've looked into things and they've said they're going to look at it again. So there you go guys, that is a lengthy exhaustive list. Now that is just what I feel that I've seen the most mentioned in the comment section and what I've talking about over the last year where I've seen lots of problems arise. You can disagree with me, it's not meant to be the definitive top 10, it's not meant to be the only top 10. If you've got any other suggestions, what you would also like to see them add, what you'd like them to do, or if you know something that they are going to be adding, maybe there's something I've missed, maybe there's a bit of news that you think, yeah, I should know about, something is coming to the game, it's going to be fantastic. This video really isn't an attack or it's meant to be negative, it's just meant to jog people's memories and give you guys what I personally think is going to happen or what I'd like to see happen from Wildcard. And most of that was based on what I kept seeing across social media and the forums. I am Jade Plays Games. If you want to see more Ark Survival Evolved videos, if you want to know more in depth about any of the stuff I've mentioned today, let me know in the comment section down below and I'll try and work on them videos. Until next time, I'll see you ratbags later.